All right, hey everyone. Welcome to Home Help Live. We are going to be talking about the weather, and it's pretty intense in the middle part of the country right now. So if you're in the middle part of the country, upper upper Midwest, Midwest, lower Midwest, southern states, lake states, you're in for it. You're going to get some nice freezing weather. This storm is coming down, and it's definitely blowing some pretty intense weather our way. So let's just take a look at what we've got going on. Wow, check that out. Look at this. Look at that cold front just sweeping down. Let's see if we can get some animation on what's happening. And it's just sitting there, it's just kind of slowly working its way across the Midwest. Um, Lots going on right now. If you own a home, there's a few things that you can do to to help make sure that you don't have freezing issues with water. One of the biggest things, folks, is make sure that you go outside, check your garden hoses, make sure they're all disconnected from your hose bibs. If you leave them connected, the water will freeze inside of that hose and it will go up into that valve stem and rupture that stem. And that's never a good thing. So definitely get outside if you haven't already. If you can, if you can get outside, and it's not snowing, sleeting, um, freezing rain. If you can manage safely the outside and under your hose, that would be good. It'll rupture, and then when you go to use it in the spring, you turn it on, and water will literally just flow down the wall, inside the wall, and then it'll pour out at the base of the wall, and that's never a fun discovery because usually it'll go inside as well. So that's one easy thing you can do right now. So what we're going to do also is I'm glad you're watching, glad you're here, glad you're joining us. I'm not sure how many are going to be catching this, but man, I'm sure glad to have you. And uh, and if you're in this, leave a comment right now. Tell me about how cold it is wherever you are. We're going to be calling up brother-in-law from Louisiana, and we're going to be seeing what's going on in his neck of the woods and how the weather's affecting him. Um, so yeah, that's what we're going to be checking on right now. And let's just do that right now and see what we can do if we can get him on the line and call him up. Let's see. Boom. There he is. We're going to get him, hopefully. So yeah, look at that weather right there, man. That's what happens when I.
Yes, sir.
Oh, there he is. Brother-in-law is with us, live from Louisiana, coming to you.
Yes, sir.
Well, what's going on down there?
Well, the wind is kicking up, making my ears cold.
How cold are we talking? What's temperature?
Right now, we're not even below in the 40s, maybe 41, 42. Wind chill's probably somewhere in the low 30s.
Nice.
Pretty cool, but it's expected to plummet very fast.
Yeah.
9, 10 o'clock.
Yeah. How far are you away from Grant Parish, Louisiana?
I'm about 45 miles from Grant Parish.
Well, right now you got you basically got winter storm advisories. I just clicked on the map. We've got winter storm advisories up for this area at Grant Parish. It's 48 degrees, but they're expecting it at any time to come in down
Right.
there. Yeah.
We have, I think it's Grant, Natchitoches, Avoyelles, Rapides, Vernon are all in this winter advisory.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's pretty good.
I'm actually at Kincaid Lake at the moment, tying a boat to the boat dock because the lake is pretty rough.
What's the wind
Out
look?
of the water for a good friend.
What's the wind looking like right now?
I bet you we're gusting at 35-ish.
Wow.
And that's just a rough estimate, but good heavy gusts, steady wind but big gusts.
Yeah. So it's gusting pretty hard. We're not getting much wind. We're in Middle Tennessee here, not getting much wind. It's just misty rain, and
very little precipitation actually, very very little.
yeah, So I'm just fiddling around with this whole YouTube, trying to figure out how to do it and make it all happen here. I've got so much going on. It feels like, but I've got the map up, and so you're at the
Great.
boat. You're at the boat dock right now.
Unfortunately, I'm sure you can hear a bunch of wind and my
Yeah.
phone and all that. I'm out here right on the lake's edge. So
All right. Well, give me a call back whenever you can at that number, and we'll chat some more.
thanks.
So there you go. Got basically got winter storm. I'm sorry. I'm trying to figure this out and what we're doing here. Okay, we're back at it. So yeah, one of the biggest things, again, we talked about those hoses. So here's just an example of what your hose may look like if you own a home and you have an exterior faucet. They call them hose bib. I like to call it a faucet. Hose bib just sounds like something you put on a baby. But so this is what your faucet looks like. And if it's one tip that you can look for is if this is straight. You see where my cursor? You see where if that's straight, that basically means you probably have an antifreeze type hose bib. Okay, and what that means is if you'll take a look at the diagram here, that valve stem goes all the way inside of a a housing, and then the valve is actually inside the home, so it's insulated or protected from the freezing weather. So if it freezes here, there's actually no water in that, so it's not going to do any damage. But the damage comes in when you have a hose and you attach it obviously right here, and that hose has water in it. That water expands, goes up into this valve stem, gets somewhere in here and freezes, expands, and it ruptures that. Literally just splits it. And you never know it. You'll never know it until you turn that on and you have a hose connected to it. So when you have a hose connected to it and it's got a nozzle on the end of the hose, you turn it on the spring, that water's going to gush out right in here, hit this floor plate, come out down here at the base of the siding, or go inside on the floor. So that's why you want to disconnect those hoses at any time freezing weather is going to happen, because it will rupture that valve stem housing inside that wall. So that's something that you want to do if you can get outside. If you can think about it, that'll save you a few hundred, if not maybe $1,000 in repairs, and who knows how much water damage. So yeah, that's something pretty important. And as we go back, we're going to take another look at that radar. And I clicked on it a few minutes ago. You can see all of the advisories and storm warnings, specifically behind this front. Man, there's a lot going on. You can see it all back through here. We're talking frigid temperatures. If I just click on one of these, that's the wrong one. If I just click on, so let's go back up here to Iowa and click on that. We're in a blizzard warning in Iowa and Poweshiek County. Man, check that out. That's right there. Blizzard warning. I'm going to click on that. Blizzard warning until 6 a.m. Tomorrow morning. So, man, right now they're just getting popped up there in Iowa. You go back across the plains over here to Nebraska. Man, been to Nebraska. Love that state. Over there in the western part is so beautiful too. Winter weather advisories, Colfax County, wind chill warnings up into effect. We're talking, it's going to be probably getting down pretty low. It's -9 right there right now. So you can imagine the wind chills, -20, maybe a little bit more. Pretty crazy stuff going on in Nebraska, Colfax County. And as we page back down, just talked to brother-in-law. He's down there in central Louisiana. Let's go down and see what that looks like. We're going to click on a county down there again. Concordia Parish. In Louisiana, they have parishes instead of counties. Pretty. I think that's the only state that does that. And that goes back all the way back to the French when they occupied that area, I believe. So we go to Concordia Parish, you're sitting at 51, so they're still in pretty good temperatures, but they've got a wind chill advisory in effect because they know it's coming. So yeah, it's let's go out to Colorado. Let's click on Let's go out to Colorado. Click on Pueblo County, -1. Wow, wind chill warning in effect there. So all of the central United States, Middle Tennessee. We don't really have any warnings going on in Middle Tennessee, but we do on the western part of Tennessee, Memphis area. Let's kind of go down around Memphis and click on that. We're at Walnut Grove, Shelby Farm. Winter weather advisory. No temp listed right now. It was sitting about 40, looks like about 40, 45 degrees. So still hasn't quite made it there, but you just go another hour or two to the west and just go over to western Arkansas. It's probably about 3 hours. You're sitting at 6 degrees in Franklin County, Arkansas. Man, that's crazy. That's near Tulsa. You've got obviously wind chill advisories into effect. So if you own a home and you are out there in that mix, just start thinking about things. Another thing we can talk about is your crawl space. So if you own a home, in a lot of the middle, the heartland of America, obviously up north, and it's down south, you get into more slab homes. You're sitting on concrete. But, in the Midwest and southeast, a lot of crawl space homes. That's basically homes with 3 or 4 feet underneath the main floor, where plumbing pipes, building, framing, floor joists, piers, all that stuff. You can crawl in, open a hatch, crawl down in there, and take a look at all that stuff. A lot of those crawl spaces are what we would call open vented crawl spaces. Now, I do home inspections, so I'm a member of International Association of Home Inspectors, and they've got a pretty cool diagram. I give them credit for that, as well as the hose bib diagram that we saw a second ago. So this is kind of an idea on what that crawl. This is a cross section picture. So this right here would be your flooring system. This would be your exterior wall. This is the concrete wall. Could be concrete blocks, or what they call CMU, concrete masonry units, or it could be solid concrete. And then inside here is going to be that crawl space, 2, 3, 4 feet tall. Nice ones are about 5 or 6 feet you could walk in. But anyway, so you're going to see these vents. This blue here is air transfer. That's air going through the vent. So there's usually a square hole, about 16 inches long, 8 inches tall, about the size of one of those concrete blocks. And they'll have shutters on them. Some of them will have like a black plastic slide shutter so that you can literally slide it open and closed. Other ones will have shutters on it, like metal shutters. It just looks like a vent shutter that you can literally just push up and down. Obviously down would be closed, and there's like 3 or 4 of them. So if you have either one of those, it's okay right now to go outside and go ahead and close those vents to limit that cold air from going in under your crawl space. Now, if there's a water line near these vents that's not insulated on a night like tonight, it could freeze and it could burst depending on what type of piping you have. There's several different kinds. You've got copper tubing, which is primarily 70s, 80s, 90s, some of the 2000s. You've got CPVC water lines, which is a plastic glue together tubing. It's called CPVC. It stands, I think, chlorinated polyvinyl something. So it's like a yellowish too. It's a yellow color, kind of like a yellow. It's yellow, light brown, if you will. But it's hot water rated, so you may see that in your crawl space for water lines. If you have copper, and it's not insulated and it's near one of these crawl space vents, you could run the risk of freezing. You definitely want to check, and if it is, they sell the sticks of foam insulation at the box stores, $3, $4, $5 a piece. Get a few of those, go to your crawl space and hit the ones that are near those vents, and try to get them wrapped up. Now, keep in mind, if you close those vents, and I don't recommend keeping them closed very often, only when we get sub-freezing weather for long periods. If you're in the southern states, you don't have to worry too much. Tennessee, Kentucky, you have a window, about a month. I would guess January, February, and we're right on January right now. So you had about a month, maybe 6 weeks at the most, where you're going to want to keep those vents closed. But the problem is that you have to remember to open them back up, because that crawl space depends upon air. If it's a open air vented crawl space, which is what we see in this diagram, open air vented, that's what that means. Air flows from the outside into the crawl space and out the other vents. If it's an open air vented crawl space, you got to get them open. As soon as the weather breaks and you're going to be above freezing for the most part. Most people forget and they leave them closed. And if you leave them closed for a season, what happens is in the summertime, humidity buildup is so intense inside this crawl space that literally you grow a forest of what we call microbial growth or fungus. You can grow that on your wood. It gets up in the insulation. I've been in crawl spaces where that insulation is saturated, and it's just pretty intense. So one thing, and here's something that I'm going to show you as well. So I'm going to show you. So this photo right there that I just put up. This is a wood floor, a hardwood floor, and nothing special, right? But if you look close, you can kind of see the seams in this floor. You can see those seams and notice that they're reflecting a little bit of light differently. That's because those seams are raised. And that's what we call cupping. Now, keep in mind, and this is the thing that people sometimes don't understand, the wood floor is organic. It's an organic material. It basically is going to absorb moisture when it's available. Now, that wood, when it absorbs moisture, it begins to warp, or what we would call cup. And this floor was subjected to humidity. It had a crawl space below it. And you can see right here the cupping going on that floor. So that's what happens when your hardwood is subjected to humidity for months on end, if not a few years. That wood will warp, or what we call cup, and then it becomes pretty easy to spot. And it's a byproduct of humidity. It's that wood reacting to high humidity. So you have to open those vents back up when that weather breaks. Now up north it may break in April, May, Tennessee, Arkansas, Georgia, it may break in February. So at the most, it kind of go with your environmental zone. For the most part, you may keep those vents closed. If you're up in Illinois or Iowa and you have a crawl space, you may keep those vents closed up to, you may shut them in November and keep them closed till about March or May or April. So here in Tennessee, you may, I live in Tennessee, so you may close them about now and open them up at the end of January. So it all depends about where you live and what those weather patterns look like. But the key is if you got to keep that crawl space breathing. Now, there's another different type of crawl space as well. We can get into that and talk a little bit about crawl spaces. But back to the weather real quick. Let's just kind of key in on what's going on. You can see all of these advisories, and we're just going to zoom in and just look at what's going on. And Illinois just right now looks like, I'm just going to click on Livingston County, Illinois. So that looks like about north central Illinois, just southwest of Chicago. Winter storm warning going on. It's -2. And then if you go on the other side of that, over in Ohio, Columbus, Ohio, you click on that, and we're going to click on the county over there and just see what the weather looks like. It's 41 degrees. So you're looking at about a 3-4 hour straight line drive, and you're looking at almost 50 degrees difference in weather, and that's unbelievable. But that's what's going on. So yeah, lots happening. I'm sure these folks are used to it up in Illinois and Iowa and northern Missouri and Minnesota. Let's just see what's going on up here. Click on a county if we can get the weather to pop up around Minneapolis. See what county we're in. Stearns County, Minnesota, -13. Holy cow! This is the National Weather Service 2 website, and their radar.weather.gov. And so yeah, lots happening there. Blizzard warning, wind chill warnings in effect. And they're at -13. So man, there's a crawl space up there. Most of the homes in that area are basement homes, so they're somewhat a little bit better off, but nonetheless, if there's a crawl space, which there can be, you definitely make sure your pipes are insulated up there, and your water hoses are disconnected. Some people will buy those. They look like styrofoam bowls or cups, and they'll fix them to their hose bib, and they'll kind of press it against the house, and that's good. If you have an antifreeze hose bib, you don't have to worry about putting those on because there's no water in the valve. Remember, there's a valve in the wall that's holding it back. But if you're, conscientious about that, and you want to put that styrofoam bowl on there and cinch it up tight, or I've seen some people take a hand towel, wrap it around there just to kind of keep the wind off of it. If you want to do that just for extra safety, you can. There's no harm in it at all, but just know that antifreeze models they generally do a good job unless you keep a hose attached to it. You're going to hear me talk about that, but man, look at that! Look at all the warnings up. Let's go down around Missouri. Let's see. We've got right around St. Louis. Let's go to Madison County, Missouri, just south of St. Louis, about an hour and a half south, maybe. Wind chill advisory in effect. Wind chill warnings out by the National Weather Service. And man, let's see if I can pull up a temperature in southeast Missouri. Reynolds County, Missouri. Don't really have a temperature right now. Temperature not available on that one. Let's see if we can go to southwest Missouri around Branson. Lawrence County. Looks like they're expecting -8 tonight and a high of 9 tomorrow on Friday. Holy cow. 9 degrees. Ooh, that's a gem. Let's see. Wichita. Let's go out around Wichita, Kansas. Man, you talk about wind. I bet they've had some wind. If they're not getting it right now, they probably had some wind. Whew. It can get windy out there. They got all those wind turbines. It's 1 degree just in Cowley County. Some good baseball out there in Cowley County. Been out through those parts, man. Wichita is beautiful. So yeah, you can see those temperatures. And let's go down around the Oklahoma, McLean County in Oklahoma, Norman, and no temperature. I can't get a temperature to come up there. Let's just see what we got. You may be able to hear some kids in the background. They're in the other room, horsing around as usual. 2 boys, they're just probably wrestling or something in there. Tonight, they're expecting 0 in Pontotoc County. Ooh, how's it going? Pontotoc County. And 0, 21 degrees on Friday. That's a heat wave compared to where we were at 9 degrees. So let's go down around the Gulf and see what's happening down there in New Orleans. They've got some advisories going on down there. They're expecting tomorrow 31 degrees. And for the Gulf Coast, that is cold. How about over in Florida, right around Panama City? Tonight, 22 degrees. Tomorrow, 33, just above freezing around Panama City. Wow, that's insane. I bet there is some serious red flag warnings going on out there right now. Pensacola Beach, 55 right now. Let's see what the alerts are. Small craft advisory, gale warnings, so you can assure there's probably red flags up as well. Man, can you imagine being out there in the Gulf of Mexico when it's just blowing and going and you're in a boat, a small craft? Holy cow, can't imagine that. So yeah. All right, man, let's see what we got here. So let's go back to that crawl space shot. So if you got a crawl space, there it is right there. If you've got a crawl space, make sure you get outside and shut those vents. That'll help you. Keep in mind when you do shut the vents, so it's going to limit airflow through there. And you do have some geothermal heat. The ground temperature in that crawl space, 55, somewhere in that ballpark. And it's going to keep that crawl space above freezing in there if you shut those vents. That's a pretty cool feature in terms of this time of the year, that crawl space will maintain somewhat of it. Now, if you have a tall crawl space, 8, 9, 10 feet tall crawl space, which some people do that live on a side of a hill, they may have a heck of a large crawl space, 10, 14 feet tall. And if you have that, then you can expect it to get colder in there. But obviously, the closer or the lower the crawl space, the temperatures are going to probably be a little bit better, closer to that 55 degrees. So yeah. So we have no comments going on right now, and but yeah, So that'll do it. So just keep in mind cold weather. You can do a few things to help protect your home, the hoses, the crawl space. And if you have any questions, comments, leave them below. This was just a little quick video and telling you about the weather coming through here on December 22nd in the middle part of the country, and what's already happening kind of in the Midwest as well. So, all right, hope you all have a great day. Have a great night. Thanks for watching. And if you do watch this and you have any comments, leave them in the comments. Love to hear from you. Love to hear from you. I love helping people. Thanks a lot. All right, have a great night.